Alright, so let's get started. Oops, I'm gonna turn down my condition. Sorry for that. Better. Okay, so let's see if we can get some Bicep PowerShell going today. I found this issue, or to be honest, Stefan helped me to find this issue, which we could look at. So I'll just see what I have in my. So this is the Bicep PowerShell module. There aren't too many watching right now, so I assume you know what it is, but it's the PowerShell module working with Bicep, basically. It's totally amazing and it works great. And Stefan released version 1.5 17 minutes ago. You should all just pause the stream and go update to the latest version, because it's great. Although I think we could do some more things. So I'll just have a look at the pull requests and see. Awesome. So we have a update bicep parameter file pull request by Jens. That's kind of nice. I have to look at that and see what he did. Checks files, here we go. So we have an external help file. We have an ambulance coming, or probably a fire truck. So update by the parameter file, it takes a path and a bicep file. We get a temporary path. So what we do here, file name is the param base name with auto.parameters. So that means like my template, my file dot parameters dot JSON will be my file dot JSON, I assume. So param file is the path, which is that way. Yeah, that's the file name. Bicep file. If not bicep file, there's this one. Then we will get all items where. Oh yeah, so we use default look for a file that's named the same as our parameters file. And base name is without the file extension, so that will be .bicep. Yeah, makes sense. And if we still don't have a path, we will write error, and else we will. So this is if bicep file is specified. Oh, thank you for following, Vextor007. Welcome. So if we don't find this, we test if the bicep file exists, and if it doesn't, we'll write an error saying we need a bicep file. Makes sense. So If I'm going to be really picky, we could, so this is a parameter, and I think by default it doesn't accept empty values. Let's try that because I want to be certain. So let's do like a function like this, and do like a param, and then do like name, because that's always my example. Let's see, we had just a parameter key. So let's do a similar one. CMD binding like that. Can you recommend any PowerShell scripting course? Of course I can. There's a few of them. There are a few beginner movies or videos at YouTube, which looks to be fairly decent. I actually haven't have a look at them. I learned the basics, but cannot go from basics to scripts. All right, so you should hang out here, ask your questions, and I'll try to help you as much as I can. There are a bunch of like master classes or scripting tool making classes. There are a few on Pluralsight. I think you can get 30-day free trial. If you haven't checked Pluralsight, do it. It's an amazing learning platform with video courses. And I wonder what more there is. So if you're based in Sweden, or if you want to like attend an actual course, me and my teammates are doing some PowerShell training at work. So we usually do that. I think my colleague Björn has a course like next week or something, but we usually do that a few times a year. That's usually like mornings till lunch for 4 days. If you're not looking for like professional trainer-led courses, then I would recommend like YouTube and Pluralsight, which is really good. There are, I don't know where more there is. I think there are some, what's that? It's that. Yeah, there are a few more platforms with good content. And also there's a bunch of good streamers doing PowerShell. You have like CL, Chrissy Lemaire, and you have PowerShell Michael. So if you follow the PowerShell live stream, what is that called? Like PowerShell Live, I think it's called. Yeah, so here it is. This account on Twitter will post every time someone live streams about PowerShell. We're about, I don't know, maybe 50 people available. As you can see, it's mostly me doing stuff right now, but Matthew's doing some cool stuff. And PowerShell Michael. And we also have Tyler, who mostly do Visual Studio Code nowadays, but he used to be a PowerShell product group member. I think he's on the VS Code team now. And we have Chrissy, who does also awesome streaming. And Corbob. So check out here to follow all the PowerShell streamers. All of them are very kind and helpful and will usually answer your questions. So where were we? Anytime. So let's see. We have a commandlet. We have a parameter. We need a parameter thingy here. I think it can be empty. And just do like name this, and then we'll just do a string. Name is name. Okay, I shouldn't type in the console. Let's open up a code and write in a proper editor instead. Here we go. New file, select language, do some PowerShell. We need to increase that font so everyone can read it. And we need to spell function correctly. Ah, come on. Hurry up. So I'm waiting for my PowerShell extension to load so I can get some proper functionality. Here we go. Let's format this document. That's better. So here we have something very similar to the function we were looking at, and it's super simple. And then we can just, let's move this down a little bit and take a little small one like this. So then we can do test dash name empty string and see what happens. And I can put brackets around here so we can see where it actually starts and ends. Something like this, and I'm just going to mark it all and press F8, and that should run this code down here, and that works. So if I give it an empty string, it'll execute. Although I can then do validate not null or empty. I think it is. I run the same again. And it's can't validate the argument on parameter name. The argument is null or empty. Provide an argument that is not null or empty, and then try the command again. So if you look here again, we have a Bicep file. And so there should never be a scenario where it's okay to use the parameter but use like a blank value, like an empty string or a null. Meaning that I'm going to add a comment here and said we should add validation for not null or empty here, like this. That means if we have given if we have used the parameter, it's not null or empty. That means that we should, so this one only checks if it basically is null or empty, but we don't change it anywhere here, so we should be able to check if it's used here instead. It's more or less the same, but it's a little bit more clear. I'm not sure if Jens is here now. If we check whether let's see, decided, and then if p is bound parameters since key Bicep come on, bicep file. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that should be enough. So this basically does the same thing, although since we do a validation here, we know that name can never be empty. So then we can just do like if and ps bound parameters is a default variable that is always available as soon as we have a function with this commanded binding thingy here. So then we can do, and this is this is always a hash table. So we can always do contains key and just give it a key, which is the name of the parameter. So this basically just means if the parameter was used, write out something else. No name was given or something. So let's do it without the name, and that should say no name was given. And then we can do dash name Simon. And that says name is Simon. So basically the same thing, but this will make it really clear that everyone looking at this part without knowing anything of the rest of the code will know that we're checking if a parameter was used. So if it's not used, we're checking if it's not used, not if it was used. So we need a not. And dash not and exclamation mark is the same thing. Doesn't really matter. So get item star. I think this will get items in the folder where I am currently in, not in the folder where my parameter file name is. This should probably look after bicep files in the same folder as the parameter file. If I'm in a current folder, let's see how we can do that. So param file is get item. Let's just try that. So don't do anything that's incorrect. Let's do this main.bicep. Let's blow this up so we can read it on a phone if we want to. So let's do like what did you call it? Param file. Param file equals get item. So this is why it's a file, not a parameter file, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to play around with the file object. So here I have a file or an object representing a file, and if I do like format list dash property star, that will format the output as a list instead of a table and give me all the properties. So when we do like this, we just get the default view, which doesn't contain much information. But if we do the same and do format list property star, we get all the information that is on this object. And that tells us that we have a PS path and a PS parent path. So we have a directory and a directory name. I think we can use directory. We can also do get member. So if I pipe anything to get member, it will output like a representation of that object. And here we can see that we have a bunch of code property, which means that PowerShell has some code that calculates this. And then we have a bunch of methods, and we have some note property, which is also like added afterwards. And then we have directory and directory name, which seems to be... So directory is a directory info object and directory name is a string. So see, this is important because if I want the directory name is probably what I want to use. You'll see if I do like directory name, and if I do directory, you can see that I get a directory object. So then I can do like directory dot, I don't know, something fun. And then I can get the parent directory of that directory. So that's kind of cool. So let's do directory name. Here we go. You should probably look after Bicep files in the same folder. Let's do this a little bit bigger so everyone can read it. Here, oh, that was really big. There we go. This could be achieved by using $param file directory name. No, there's no music today. Maybe we should have some music. Let's get some music going. I think we have some stream bits over here. I'm not sure you can hear that. Let me check. So... No, you should hear the music, I think. Is that a good volume? Yeah, cool. There's a bit of a lag on my computer today. I have, I'm not sure if you can hear it, but the music is like skipping a beat now and then. It's really annoying. There's something wrong with the USB bus bandwidth on my computer. It started this morning and I don't really know why, but I haven't had time to troubleshoot this yet. So here, this could be achieved by using parameter.directory name, because then if we go back here, we have directory name like this. And let's go back here and see what we're doing. So wonder if we do. Let's try this. So get item, oops. Get item. Don't think that's gonna work. Nope. That gets the actual item. So we should probably do get child item. Child item. That gives us all the items in that directory. It's not perfect, and I don't think we can do a filter. Let's try that. Oh, we could. Cool. So we can do a filter here. Get child item $param file directory name. Dash filter. Bicep. Let's try that. That didn't work. Okay, so let's do filter star.bicep where object name. Then we don't. We could probably use base name. Let's just make sure that I'm not doing anything wrong here. File name is the thing without parameters. So and bicep should probably be equals file name. Whoops. There we go. So where object underscore base name equals file name dot full name. Yeah, so that gives us the full path. Let's do PowerShell and just make sure that it looks alright. Cool. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can read again. So that's the Bicep file path. What if we don't find anything? File name, whatever, equals this file does not exist. Then we just get nothing back. Okay. Makes sense. And then we do, if that is empty, we write an error saying can't file in current directory. that should probably say something else than current now that we changed it. I don't know. So let's go up. If we use else, so this is if we're using the parameter, we do test path and make sure that it exists. And if it doesn't, we're just gonna throw an error and break. And then we say bicep file path equals to bicep file. Yeah, fair enough. Bicep file name is get item bicep file path. So the base name would never contain .bicep as far as I know. Let's make sure it doesn't. Oops. Main.bicep. Yeah, that is main. So we won't need to do this part. Base name should never contain Then we do new bicep parameter file. So this makes me thinking. New bicep parameter file should have a better parameter than output directory. I'm not saying it does, but I think it should. Let's import the module bicep and get command new bicep parameter file and syntax. So here's the syntax, and it takes a path and an output directory. Alright, so I think there should be like a string or as hash table, probably as hash table parameter on this one, so that we don't have to write to disk, because writing to disk is not good if you don't need to do it, or like shouldn't be done unless necessary. Let's do an issue on that one. Let's go here, open up a new issue. So that's the feature request, title. Where was it? New bicep parameter file. Should have an as hash table parameter. When generating bicep parameter files, there might be a need of modifying the output before it is written to disk. update bicep parameter file as come in handy. New parameter set with a parameter called yes hash table and a hash table instead of writing a parameter file to disk should be should be implemented similar to a hash table on I think it's build bicep. Let's make sure git command build bicep syntax yeah, so here is an hash table. We should do the same thing for new parameter file. Maybe that's an additional concept. Here we go. And we need a label enhancement. Yeah, that's good. Issue filed. Let's get back to code reviewing. So here we create a new bicep parameter file and we output it to a temp path. And then we say the new parameters file path is oh yeah, output directory is a temp path. And temp path is get temp path. Alright, yeah, makes sense. And then we'll see new parameter files path. Yeah. And then we do get content on that one and we convert to hash table ordered. Cool. And then we do old parameter file. And we import that as a hash table. And then we say updated parameter file equals new parameter file. So this is a hash table. That means that we're not actually copying the hash table. We're just... Oh, thank you there, DevOps, for following. Welcome to the PowerShell streams. Family or whatever. Update the parameters file, new parameters file. Yeah, so this won't copy the hash table. It will just like create a new reference to it. So let's get an example saying like let's create a new hash table. New hash table. And then I'll just create a hash table and I'll give it a value saying value equals 1. So here we go. And then I do like updated hash table equals new hash table. Right? Now I've done the same thing. And then I can just write out the new hash table and the updated hash. Come on, updated hash. You can see these are just, they look equal. So let's do updated hash table dot value, equals to 2. So now if I look at the updated hash table, the value is 2. If I go back to the new hash table, which is like the old one or the first one, you can see that that is also the value 2. That is because a hash table is, I think they are referred to as a reference type. So in .NET there are like different types of objects. There are like value types and there are reference types. So value types is a variable that contains a value, like an integer, like number equals to 1 and new number equals to number. So this will actually copy the value of number into new number, and now I have like 2 boxes containing the number 1. So if I do like number, that is 1, and if I do new number, that is 1. And then I can do like new number equals 2, and then you can see that number is still 1, and I did something weird on my keyboard. Let's see, new number is now 2. So this is value type. Numbers, characters, I think strings, and a lot like simple values are of type value type. But a hash table is of type reference type, meaning that a variable that contains a hash table isn't really a variable that contains a hash table, it's a variable that contains the address in memory to where the hash table is. So if all the variables would be boxes, that would mean like in this case number would be a box with the number 1 inside it, and new number will be like when we do this thing, we say create a new box called new number and create a new number 1 in it. So here we have 2 boxes both containing 1 number each. It just happens to be the same number, but it's different numbers, but they have the same value, whatever. Yeah, you get the point. But when we create a hash table, like I did up here, we're not actually putting the hash table into the box that is the variable. We are creating a hash table in memory, and then we are putting the address to that memory into the variable. So when I do this, I am not copying the hash table, I am copying the address to the hash table. So now I have 2 boxes, each containing a link to an object in memory, which is the hash table. Very long explanation, but I hope it makes sense, and that means that this might create some unintended consequences, but we'll see what happens with it. So for each object in new parameters file parameters.keys. Yeah, so we don't need this paran here, but it's fine to have it, doesn't really matter. And if I'm going to be really picky, I would prefer this to be like for each key in keys instead of for each object in keys, but yeah, it works. And then we do for each parameter in old parameters file parameters.keys. Oh yeah, so here we're looping through basically for every parameter name in the new parameters file, we loop through all the names in the old parameters file. And then we find the one parameter that is equal, and if they're equal, we will update this thingy. Problem with this row is that it will actually update this thing is 2. And that's probably why he has added the paren here. So I would say this one, this will not create a copy of the hash table, only a copy of the reference. To create a proper copy, use the clone. Use the method clone like this. So let's look at that. Here we go. We had this example up here. So we create a new hash table, and then we create a copy and thingy. This, so I can do like copy hash table equals new hash table dot copy clone. Is this not copy? Sorry. Did I write copy here? No, I did clone. Good. So dot clone, and if we do copy hash table, this now has the value 2, and new hash table has the value 2, and then we can do copy hash table dot value equals 3, and then we can look at the new hash table. It still has value 3, and the copy hash table has value, sorry, it still has value 2, and the new one has value 3. So doing this dot clone thingy will actually take the address to the new hash table in memory, clone all that memory, create a new hash table somewhere else in memory, and then save the reference to that new hash table into a copy hash table. There we go. Oh, hi Jens, you're here. Cool, thank you so much for writing the pull request. It's so great to have another one involved in the module. Yeah, I might be a bit picky, but I'm trying to make good sense. So this probably means that we can skip this part. I'm guessing you did this because you got an error message down here saying that you cannot change the key because you're looping through it or something. Because if you're looping through a hash table, you're not allowed to change the hash table that you're looping through, because then it will just cause an issue. Another hack or a thing, like a solution to this, is to do like new parameters file.parameters.clone. So you can just have a clone in memory that you loop through, and then you modify the thing in your variable. But that's basically the same. Yeah, and this nested for each loop is perfectly fine for this scenario. Whenever we use nested for each loops, they're not very efficient. So let's say we have like 4 things here and 4 things here, and I want to compare them, and then I do like, for this one, check if these are equal. Yeah, they're equal, cool. Then we do thing, and then for this one, check if these are equal, and then check if these are equal. Yeah, these are equal, cool. Then we do the thing, and then for this one, check if this one's equal, then check if this one's equal, and then check, yeah, that is equal, and so on. So as you can see, the time it takes to calculate each value grows. I think that is exponential, because if you have 1 in each one value in each array, and the time it will take will be 1. If you have 2, it will be 1 plus 2, and then so 1 and then 2, which will be 3, and then if you have 3, it will be 1 for the first, 2 for the second, and 3 for the third, so that will be 6. 1, 3, 6, yeah, that's yeah, I think that's called exponential growth. But for this, like, we're not gonna have 10,000 parameters, so it really doesn't matter. So that's good. And then we have the updated parameter file. So we're basically saying if the parameter is already set in the new parameters file, then update it, and then we do the updated parameter file, and we convert that to JSON, and we just do an out path. Yeah, that should do good, I think. And in the end, we remove the new parameters file path, and the new parameter is the temp path. Good. We should always clean up temporary files, especially the ones that we created without the user asking us for it. And then we have a help update saying that to clipboard is Windows only. Is there a to clipboard? Oh well. That's probably not going to work on Linux anyway, because the whole clipboard thing is different with each Linux distribution. The whole thing that Linux has like a lot of distributions and all the distributions are different makes some things really hard. I kind of like the way the thing, like the fact that you can have options and say like I want to install totally different Linux version than everyone else, but it makes it hard for anyone making tools. Like there are probably 10 different ways of getting something into the clipboard on Linux, and you have to check like for all the 10 things to be available before you use them. Don't really appreciate that part. I appreciate a lot of other things with Linux, but not that part. These are a bunch of MAML. That's just compiled of the markdown we checked before. Awesome. Think that we will be all. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's leave them as a comment. If someone has, yeah, that'd be fun. Awesome. Then we are 1 hour into the stream, and we have done a quite thorough review of a pull request. Good start. And then the next part was an issue. So we had the hash table parameter, and we had the test Bicep file. Yeah, so this makes, well, yeah, it makes some sense. It makes a lot of sense to create the commandlet, but so the thing is when I create a new deployment from using Azure PowerShell, I can use a Bicep file directly instead of using a template file or an ARM template. That means that I don't have to do the Bicep compile stuff. I can just give it a Bicep file directly, which is a great idea. But I think they're still like running the Bicep exe file and just throwing away the diagnostic output, meaning that if I build a Bicep file and that contains warnings, or maybe even, so I don't know if it will accept errors, but at least warnings, then it will just compile that and deploy it for me. That's not what I want to happen. So that's why I always build my Bicep files, or like compile them to proper ARM templates, because that way I can get the output and actually work with that and verify that my compilation worked as I intended before I deploy to Azure. There's also an important thing, I can show you that one. So there's an important distinguish between using our PowerShell module and the Bicep CLI. Let's see, I think I had a main. So let's do Bicep build main.bicep. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So this file is broken and I get a lot of errors, right? But the thing is, it's kind of hard to programmatically do something about these errors, because they are in the end just text on the screen. And if I do like output equals like this, you'll see that I still get a lot of output. This time I don't get any pretty colors, and oh, maybe I shouldn't call it output, by the way. That was wrong. Let's do like results. Not sure if that matters, but yeah, as you can see, I can't really save the output in a decent way. I can capture it, but not in a good and usable way. So what I want to do is, when I get these errors, I want to capture them, and I want to programmatically be able to tell how many errors were there, and how many warnings were there, and how many unique error codes did I get, and so on. So let's do this with Bicep instead. I'll do like build Bicep main.bicep. So at first glance this looks very similar, but there is one important difference. This output is actually PowerShell object written to something called the information stream. So I can do like diagnostics equals, and then I can do the whole build Bicep, main.bicep, and then I can use some PowerShell magic to do five, I think it is. So this little arrow or greater than sign is called a redirect operator. So every stream in PowerShell, there's like the output stream, the warning stream, the error stream, the verbo stream, the debug stream, and the information stream. So I think that might be 6. Uncertain, let's check. So it has a number, and they're numbered 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 or whatever. And then the little redirection thingy, that will redirect that output to something else. So I can either redirect that output to a file to write all the information that comes out of my command to a file, or I can do the &1, which means redirect the output to stream number 1, which is the output stream. Since build Bicep doesn't return anything to the output stream, I can just do this. And that should not, you see now I didn't get all this output. I only got the error in the end saying the file had errors. You should look at that. First off, this error thingy is great because that means that I could do like error action stop, and let's say I have a new command. Let's say right host foreground color yellow, saying this would deploy template, something like this. So since I have an error and I do error actually stop, it will never run it will stop the script there, and it will never run anything else, which is also a great feature in my opinion. So now let's have a look at this diagnostics. Here you can see I have all the output. Still, it only looks at text. It looks like it's only text. But if we look at like one of these objects, and we can pipe that to get member, we can see it's actually an information record. And in this information record, we have some information, and one of these information is the tags and the message data. So if I look at the message data, you can see it contains a message, and the message contains this. So here, first off, we can get the string from the message, but we can also get the tags. And we can see that that is an information. I think there should be like a error and diagnostic tag if I'm not wrong, or maybe it's a source. Let's look at them all. So FL star is, that didn't work. Of course, here we go. Tags, information. Yeah, the same. So we have an, this is an information output, and it has tags information. So that means I can do diagnostics, and I can do pipe group object, and I can say on property tags, I think. Okay, it didn't work. Let's do select tags and message data. Yeah, so here you can see that some of them are information messages, some of them are error messages, and some of them are warning messages. I wonder if I can do like group object. I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but let's try. Haha, that works. Awesome. So here I can group them by the first tag element in each object. I know there will only be one, so that'll be fine. And then I can see that I have 8 errors, 5 information, and 3 warning. And if I only want to, so I can do like expand prop select objects, expand property, let's do it like this, where object name equals error, like that, and pipe that to select expand property group. So this will filter only the errors here, and then it will return the group, which is the actual things here. So here we can see I only get the error messages. So this is, well, I feel that just this is reason enough to use Bicep PowerShell instead of Bicep.txt. Sorry for that long rant. But if I choose to use like deploying a Bicep file instead of compiling it first, we should give this full diagnostic experience to everyone without having to compile the file. Yeah, today the output is quite messy. I agree. And here is a crappy test to test with. That's awesome. So the clock is ticking. I'm just gonna at least get started on this one. Where are we? Here we go. So in source public, we should probably have. Can't we do the redirection already inside the build bicep.ps1 so we already capture all errors in error and use outbursts? Yeah, so I don't want to do that in build bicep because build bicep has options to output a hash table or a string. So if the user chooses to output the compiled template as a string or a hash table, then we can't really output anything else in the same stream because that would break the thing for the user. But I intend to do that in the test bicep so we can get a better experience when using test bicep. So let's create a new test bicep.ps1 and we need a function. Let's do this test